That turned is the volume all the way up on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this was all we good. I mean, I was right up on it. It might be a little loud.
That was the only critique I had last time.
If it's too loud or too old.
Wow.
Right.
Well, welcome back. This is our second episode of the Strength Starts Here podcast. The Troy Shanks.
Howdy, howdy.
And just call me the boss. I'm gonna shoot. How do we start? I want to give a little background on both of us, so you guys kind of know who we are, where we kind of got started. I guess I'll take it off first because mine goes way back when I started lifting and getting into strength sports. I was 12 years old, so I really, grew up in a kind of a farm town area, way out in the country. We had a little mini farm, nothing, just a hobby farm, nothing, not like we're raising animals for sale. It was just the kids had 4-H animals type of thing. But I had to build all the fence for that, and I liked to build, so I built the barns for all the animals, and it was oversaw by my pops at the time. But then I really fell in love with building. But anyway, at 12 years old, I wanted to go work for my uncle. He did landscape concrete curbing, for decorative concrete curbing for high-end homes, and mostly residential. We did do some parking lots, but I wanted to work for him when I was 12 years old. And I was 5'2". No, at 12 years old, I was probably 5 foot nothing. Probably weighed 100 pounds. I was tiny. And he's like, well, you just gotta, in order to work for me, these wheelbarrows, when they're full of cement, they're in concrete, they're 280 to 350 pounds. And they're the industrial wheelbarrows, real heavy duty steel ones. And so he's like, you need to get bigger. He's basically telling me a nice way to get bigger. But he goes, you just need to eat steak and potatoes and lift some weights. And I took that literally. I went to the library, found a book on lifting, I went to the thrift store, found them old concrete plastic wrapped weights in a little weeder set, put it in the basement. We had 2 beams, 2 posts in the basement, and I hung a 2x2 up there. We bolted it in. That was my pull-up bar. And I really, really studied this book. It was a book on the physiological movement, movement of the lifts. So I really was key on form. So ever since I was a kid, just perfect form on everything. And the next summer I worked for him, and I might have been the smallest guy, but I was definitely a hell of a lot more powerful than most of them. And just kind of moved on from there and started getting into construction. Still lifted, still loved to lift, but all of my summer jobs were working construction with my uncles. That was the best freaking time. It was probably one of the best times of my life, Riding bikes, lifting weights, hanging out with the cousins and the uncles, working for them, and really just took that work ethic from the uncles and the lifting and the hard manual labor, and just became my own,
Yeah.
And then started reading the bodybuilding magazines back when magazines were a big thing. The Flex, the Muscular Development. Man, I had boxes of them by the time I was 20 years old. I had one of my old coaches when I was 18 gave me probably 3 boxes of magazines from the 96 through 2000. So, everybody in the late 90s and early 2000s, all those lifters, those are the guys I know.
Right.
More than even the guys today, some of them. But turns out Dennis James is my coach now, so one of those guys that was big in that area, now he's my coach. That's pretty cool. But just fell in love with lifting, and then the family moved to Tucson from Washington State, Spokane, when I was 17. I was ready to get out of the house, and then we shipped down there. So this was a new environment for me. Went straight to the first gym. It was a Metro Flex at the time. It turned into a Gold's Gym, and I met a guy there that I trained with. Was one of Milos Sarcev's best friends back when he first moved here from Yugoslavia in the late 80s, early 90s. And he was my coach, so a lot of those same training principles were passed down at the time.
Not a bad coach to start with.
I told him, hey, I want to do a bodybuilding show. What do you think? He's like, who's this little kid coming in here saying this? I think I was 17, right? And I pulled up a front by, big old peak. He's like, oh, shit. 9 months later, we won 3 shows and team nationals. So it was a pretty quick thing. I got right in it. And, I trained. He was literally donated his time. I think he was about 37 at the time, and I was 18. He donated his time, never charged me a dime. I think I bought his plane ticket to Nationals, Teen Collegiate and Masters Nationals in 2003. And the hotel, I paid for it, but he came out there with me. But all the coaching and training and dieting, he did just because he saw that I had the interest and wanted to share the info. So that was super key. It probably ties into why I like to coach nowadays, to give back.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty cool thing. But we skipped over from then to now. There's a lot of things that happen in life. But
Life gets in the way sometimes.
But I went into construction, and I started my own business at 19 years old and did that all the way up until 2018. We opened Be Strong in 2017. January 1st was our grand opening for our first location. And then by mid 2018, I was like, I got to pick which one I'm going to stick with, because I'm running two businesses. And, you know, the passion is the lifting, always has been, and I have the ability to do that now. So that's kind of where I changed the fork in the road in a way. Still love to build, still love to manage projects. Maybe it'll come back later at some point in time in my life, but right now we're focused on the training and helping people, and I freaking love it. So there's a lot of years missed, but basically it was going to the gym all the time. I still lifted. There was probably 2 years in there where I probably didn't touch much weights at all, but I got right back into it and got on it. So
Yeah, but the construction side of it, though, does build a different type of strength and a different type of musculature, right? So those years might have been missed in the gym, but they were still building blocks, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
starting on construction sites with your family and moving wheelbarrows and stuff. I mean, that's just building.
Oh yeah,
A stable base.
mm-hmm.
From the beginning. There's
Balance, coordination. I mean, you're doing a lot of hills, up and down, rocks, gravel, sand, grass.
Yeah, farm boy strength is a real thing. And that's how you build is manual labor. And you can tell the difference in physiques. I think with those two.
For sure, especially in the hands. You get the freaking
Get the sausage.
monster sausage finger man hands. But that's partially definitely genetic too. But I've been working with my hands. I got more scars on my hands by the time I was 12 than most people do in their whole life, probably.
Right.
But the manual labor part of it definitely is exerting energy, and if you were already in the state of mind like I was in, well, you were lifting properly. You weren't really getting injured. And there was some crazy shit I did with beam work and high elevations and crazy shit that I wouldn't even attempt to today. Oh yeah. And I just throw it on my shoulder. I'll just come up there and do it. Nowadays I'm like, you guys do it. I'm too old.
We need a 4-man crew. We're gonna need some cranes.
Yeah. I can't get out of my chair here.
Right.
But that's probably also why I haven't done too much strongman and strongman competitions. I fucking lived it for.
Yeah. You spent your whole life doing it.
I spent my whole life doing that stuff. So, but I do enjoy it, and I get the It's kind of like a perfect, if you had a good farm boy, bring him in doing some strongman meets. Maybe you could throw him into some powerlifting, and then he could be pretty much whatever he wants to be, But the farm boys tend to have a different type of mentality when they approach things,
Well, it's that like manual construction labor type mindset too of here's the job, here's the end result that we got to get to, and you just don't stop until you get there, right? So you carry that over into your strength and your physique, building. It's the same thing here. This is where we're going. This is what we got to do to get there. You just don't stop until you get there.
Well, I think it goes both ways too. So for me, I did do both at the same time, but then when I had won nationals and I said I was going to do it, and everybody's like, "Who's this pipsqueak? Doesn't know jack. Never seen it before." And all of a sudden, I do my 2 shows, win, and get qualified, and win there. And my dad said something at that point in time where he goes, and this, my mom always took us to sports, as my dad worked a lot, but she took us to the Little League and soccer and baseball and basketball and all the things we played as kids. But he was busy, so he'd show up at games if he could, but she was always the one taking us to practice. Memorable moment for me, it was out of the whole crowd, I could hear him yelling for me, and that was pretty cool. But he said after I won nationals, he goes, if you just take that same exact work ethic that you put in the last 9 to 12 months to win this show, you do it any other part of your life, you'll be successful.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did. I turned that into my construction business, and now it's back and forth with each other. So everything you do kind of mimics itself, and I think that's where we came up with that MEP strength, that mental, physical, and emotional strength.
Yeah.
And it ties together all parts of life, not just your lifting, not just your personal life, not just your job, but
Yeah. Yeah. And once you tie it all together, then everything starts to increase. So build on each other.
you get the community around you, you get the right type of people you're supposed to be around, not hanging out with the wrong, you attract a different breed in a way, right? A different mentality.
Yeah.
And
Motivation attracts motivation, I think.
oh, for sure.
Because one motivated guy is not going to hang out with the unmotivated because he's going to hold him back, if he truly is motivated.
Right. I mean, you might have hanging out with the buddies for a couple hours on a Saturday is not the same thing
Right.
as, grinding every day. And
Yeah.
I hate that word, but in a way, it's sometimes what it feels like.
Oh, yeah.
Just getting up in the morning, you hear the grinding in your kneecaps from all the
literal
years
grind.
on your knees doing construction work or in the gym squatting and stuff. But that's basically kind of in a nutshell, But what about you? What's your deal? How did you get started in this string sports?
So my journey, I guess, kind of started a little bit later. So grew up manual labor and everything. My dad owned a construction company. The family had a farm up in Oregon. So I spent my summers doing that and working with my dad, whenever I was out of school. And it almost did the exact opposite. I was so focused on getting the job done there that I didn't feel like I had extra energy, I guess, to go out and, get in the gym or lift weights or anything like that. So I kind of focused more on that side of it. And it wasn't until high school that I got into lifting and playing football and then wrestling. They just drive that fit. You got to be bigger, you got to be strong, you got to be faster, right? So I kind of set in on that. The issue is, and when a lot of people, have this expectation, oh no, I was great in high school, No, I didn't know what I was doing. I was super excited about my, 350-pound leg press, form sucked. The coaches always tried to help me out. Looking back on it now, I was constantly getting, critique on my form and everything from my coaches. So I kind of built that little base there. It wasn't really until 2008 when I was deployed, I kind of had...
Is that the Army?
Yeah, with the Army. So I had not a ton of downtime, but, you're over there and you do have a little downtime. You go to the gym, and you relieve the stress that way. So that's kind of where I kind of found that drive to, okay, let's see what I can do with my physique. Let's, use this as a stress relief.
How old were you about that point?
2008, I was about 20.
20?
Yeah. So a couple of years removed out of high school, and between those time frames, I really didn't lift much.
Just working and chasing girls.
Basically, I had my daughter's mom. We were together at the time, so just kind of playing that, that out. And so 2008 was overseas. Had my daughter. She was born 8 days after I left, after I was deployed. So that was also a driving factor, right? Like I wanted to kind of make her proud in life, and I always joke with people, my big driving force is I want to be the biggest dad at the PTA meeting, and I want my daughter to be able to say my dad's stronger than your dad, and actually mean it, and know that I can prove it to her
without even having to do a challenge.
Yeah, so as long as Bubba Pridgett doesn't say it to her. I got a couple people that I could get over on. But no, so that was actually like my driving force. I just wanted to be bigger and stronger, just to make her proud, I guess. And, vanity reasons, of course, obviously, right? And then it started to become more and more like, okay, let's see what I can do. I competed the first time in powerlifting in 2013. And then that was also the first year I did a strongman competition. And the way I got into that was a good buddy of mine from high school. We were training over at an LA Fitness, and I think I deadlifted 365. And mind you, this kid, Christian, he was benching 500 in high school.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, he overhead pressed 405 like it was nothing.
Just a big kid, farm boy.
Farm boy strong, just incredibly strong. And he was working out with me that day, and I said, "Is that good? You know, like where's that rank me at?" And he told me, he goes, "There's women and strongman that lift more than that." And he said, "Why don't you come to a real gym with me one time and let's get you strong?" And then that's where I got the bug. Nice. So I kind of just started training.
Kind of do a little more garage style gyms then after that.
It was very similar to kind of not necessarily garage style, but smaller niche gyms. Where we had a little corner of it. And yeah, if we had 1,000 square feet of a gym to be able to do yoke walks in, I'd be surprised. But yeah, there wasn't a lot of strongman being held in Arizona at the time, so I fell more into the powerlifting realm and did that up until 2019 when I got the strongman bug again. And
that's kind of we hooked up around that 18.
Yeah, exactly. It was 19 when I came over and we did the comp here and
little unsanctioned, our first unsanctioned Battle of the Beast.
Yeah, it was. Yep. And so then
we're going on our third sanction this year now. Right?
Yeah, I think so. There's the fourth total, third sanction. Yeah. And then ruptured my bicep going into 2020. So then I had to take 6 months off before I can actually do my first competition that was sanctioned. And then just been pushing ever since.
And you just came back from a
Pro-Am, Beerstone Pro-Am down in Mission, Texas, hosted by Gabe Pena.
Awesome, and that was looked like it was a pretty good event.
Oh, it was a huge event. I don't know.
A lot bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely, and I kind of think it was bigger than they anticipated it being.
So too, yeah.
But the turnout was amazing. The caliber of athlete was there. It was just incredible.
As well as you had a lot of professional strongmen at the event too, right?
Oh yeah. So Bobby Thompson actually had just come off of a third place placing at the Arnold Strongman Classic the weekend before. So he came down. He ended up taking the whole event.
He won the show.
Yeah, he won the overall in the Pro-Am division, and it was incredible.
You compete against him then, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
So, which was really cool, and big respect to Bobby for just there was a lot of amateurs there that he helped, a lot, and that is one thing I love about the strongman community is that, you got these. I mean, Bobby Thompson holds the American log press record, and he's giving critique to guys that are up and coming, and theoretically one day going to be competing against them. But that's the great thing about strongman is we want everybody to be their best, and we'll share equipment if we have to, if that means that's going to get that guy a better placing, because we want to beat you at your best. All right, so if we beat you because you didn't have your belt, well, okay, that's not beating you, properly, I guess. So, but yeah, Gabe Pena, he a World's Strongest Man competitor. He was the host. Travis Ortmeyer, he was a World's Strongest Man competitor. He was there as one of the guest MCs, and he actually helped with the live feed. Mm-hmm. And then Bobby Thompson was competing. Josh Hatfield was competing. Inez, she had just won her pro card at the amateur Arnold that weekend before, which incredibly enough, the first athlete in the Arnold history to win all the events.
Wow, she won every event.
All 5 events she won, and it's the first time that's ever been done there.
Clean the slate on her.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible athlete. And then came down and took first. That was her first pro win.
Just a week later.
Later.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, so that was incredible to see. Austin Andrade, he ended up picking up his pro card. He placed second overall.
So it was first and second in the Pro-Am.
So if you podiumed in the Pro-Am, you won your pro card.
First, second, or third.
Yeah, so Bobby Thompson took first, already had his pro card. Austin took second, so he won his, and then Josh took third, and he had already had his. So, which was pretty incredible. And then over on the female side, Inez did her win, but she was obviously already pro from the weekend before. And then Gabby Dixon, she won second, so she won her pro card. And then Julia, and I'm forgetting her last name right now. I want to say it's Hatfield, but it's not Hatfield. She won her pro card as well. So it was really cool just to see these, athletes compete, and the events were incredible. Heaviest I've ever done in a competition.
Up to 60,000 pound pulls on the truck.
Yeah, 60,000 pound truck pull for 50 feet, which was pretty incredible. No momentum. It's 60,000
The big,
feet.
huge knobby tire.
Yep, yep.
Because the Army had sponsored that portion of the event.
Yeah. They I think Gabe linked up with the recruiting station down there and was able to get a
Some
crew
of
of
his
soldiers
rigs.
down there, and they supplied the trucks for the truck pull, and also the soldiers were there doing loading and unloading and spotting. Yeah. So it was pretty cool for them.
It's a lot of work in those events, man.
Yeah, that's honestly the hardest job, strongman
We run
and
these
in
events
powerlifting.
Oh yeah.
Hands down, the hardest part of the competition. I'd much rather compete than load and spot all day.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
I'm way more tired afterwards.
Think about how much weight they move in one day.
Yeah, oh yeah, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
And you had a big sponsor there for the event.
Yeah, so Evolution Athletics was the title sponsor. So Brian Shaw and Kerry Shaw came down.
Pretty cool.
It was incredible. It was kind of crazy to see, him, and I've met him before. I think it was 2016 at the Olympia Expo, and I was a lot smaller then, but he was a lot bigger then. Now he's lost some weight because he's trying to get a little bit more athletic and agile, and I've put on quite a bit of weight since then. And I'm still just as small compared next to him.
He's just a big dude.
That is just a massive human being. But, I mean, he took out probably 20, 25 minutes to just talk to Carrie and myself. And
Oh, that's awesome.
he actually fitted, helped fit me for my elbow sleeves and a new weight belt that we actually just got today. Ordered.
From his company?
Yeah, from
Awesome.
Evolution Athletics. So it was really cool for him to, take the time out and then, we just kind of talked about, programming and mindsets of programming and going in and what's next for him and kind of his new transition. He's got not a coach, but more of a consultant, that kind of helps him with his programming right now, which is really cool to hear. That even at his level, you still need the help.
You need extra
right?
eyes.
Yeah. And then that's one thing I think if as soon as you think you know everything, you're done.
Yeah.
Right? There's things change
Your career
so
might
much.
be going the other way at that
Yeah,
point.
absolutely. And to see somebody pushing for his 5th title.
Very humble.
Oh, humble.
Great ambassador for the sport.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
An outstanding one.
He stood, and it had to have been 8 hours in that sun.
Just
For
meeting and greeting.
Meeting and greeting. There was a line wrapped around. He stopped a few times to eat, and that was the only time I didn't see him standing and talking and taking pictures with somebody. And
Very humble dude too. At the same time.
when we walked up, his wife Carrie was just finished eating, I believe, and she was kind of just. And so that's when hey, did you guys bring any more equipment? I was interested in taking some home. They only brought enough to do like sizing and help out like that and kind of demo what they had available. And so as soon as he finished eating, he stood up and came over, and started talking with us. So that was really cool. And Carrie's got, my wife Carrie has some issues, I guess, with being able to have a coach and like second guesses a lot, on because she's gotten this far. So then when somebody's like, well, try this, tweak this, it's, well, why?
So she has a difficulty in putting full trust in another person.
Yeah.
Aside from herself or maybe you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, close friends, you or Melissa can tell her something and,
she might
she's going to
listen.
put it and put it into play. And not that she knows more than the coach, but she's just, concerned on if it's not the right choice, because
Right.
everybody's body's different, so maybe this choice isn't, but to hear him, say, no, like, I learned from this guy and now we kind of consult together and he programs and we consult on the program, it's.
And they kind of work together then at that point because they're both knowledgeable.
Yeah.
He knows his body really well, but the other coach also has a couple tricks too.
Exactly,
when
yeah.
he sees something and you kind of got to work. I see that in more of the matured athlete.
Yeah.
That, it's still coach, but it's more on a level of there's a lot of feedback. There's a little back and forth going on.
I think there's more explanation too, right?
Right.
You know,
why are we doing this? This worked last time. Well, because
Yeah.
we're seeing this, we need
right?
to do this.
Well, maybe this exercise
Yeah.
I know from the past 15 years of lifting doesn't work well for me. You put it on the program. What can we do to adjust that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like a newer coach-client relationship
There's still-
sometimes is more. The client usually takes it and it's just gospel and we'll run through it. And then in 3 months they're like, well, I really hate this because it hurts this. Well, why didn't you bring that up
Yeah.
3 months ago? You know, that's an easy.
Or they're
adjustment.
just learning and say, man, I swear you could literally take probably 4 years from a good coach
Mhm.
and just learn things the whole time
Oh yeah.
before you kind of really start figuring out what's best for you. You
Yep.
know, everybody's got different training styles. You know.
Oh yeah. Different training styles.
And then as you've matured and you got a certain training style and then you get a new coach that's different, sometimes it's like, well, is this going to work? I mean.
Yeah, and then, you know, as you're doing the workout, you kind of second guess it and maybe that, you know, 600-pound pull for
I think
3
sometimes.
sets of 94 doesn't make sense in your head anymore. You know what I mean? So you start to second guess it. And,
I think some of that maturity as an individual, not just in lifting, but in age also,
Yeah.
too, you know. An old dog do tricks sometimes, you
Mhm.
know. And that's kind of where I think there's a misconception sometimes with maybe new clients, where the coach is, you know, you're really trying to move in a different direction. And if you keep doing what you've been doing the whole time,
Mhm.
but you're kind of stagnant, you kind of got to put faith in that other person
Yep.
and run with it. I mean, you've done your research. You found a coach that's, you know, hopefully at that point in time a little bit better than who you had been using or your own at that point in time.
Well, I think that a lot of them have to sit back and go, okay, there's a reason why I got a coach, right? And understand that, you know, at one point they did know that they did not know everything,
Yeah.
you know, and be more humble in that effect. And I think that works pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, when I program for people at, you know, first few cycles that we, you know, work with them together on, you know, okay, what don't you like? What do you like? Why don't you like it? Does it hurt? Or is it just something you've never done before? You know?
Or you just don't like it because it's hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to do that.
Well, yeah, you got to do the hard work.
Yeah.
You know, you get those ones that are like, oh no, it hurts. Doesn't though.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
You're not limping.
You know, so you got to kind of question those, I guess.
Yeah.
But the to be able to hear that from, you know, again, somebody at that level, you know, kind of reiterated it in my mind, you know, that we never do know everything. You know, nobody knows everything.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, I mean, kind of got a little off topic. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it went into something that, you know, is good to talk about anyway. But the same thing with Melissa. I mean, she got her pro card in 14. So this is year 8
wow.
as a pro. But you did a couple shows early on, took a little 4-year, just did some solid powerlifting, and then came back to the same coach that got her pro card. And they have a relationship that's kind of pretty cool. I mean, a lot of people like to bounce around and try things out, but man, every year she keeps improving. Every show she does better. She keeps winning.
Yep.
Why would you change something that's not broken?
Exactly.
She has added more to the team. Okay, so that's one coach, and I think me in her life, I'm not taking any credit for her hard work and her drive, but it just changed perspective sometimes. You know, for example, if you're the strongest guy in your gym, you probably are at the wrong gym,
Yep.
unless you're the world's strongest man.
Yeah.
You know, so her being a smaller female, training with a whole bunch of big dudes, and now we look at her going, gosh, damn, she's the strongest person in
Yeah,
this.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, well, she's the strongest person in this gym. You know, so we feed off of that energy, eating as well. Some women, you know, a lot of women in general, they have this, whether they're trying to get muscular or lose weight or get strong, they have a complex of being too fat.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in this industry. You want to stay in shape.
Yep.
So you don't eat as much. Well, once you figure out how to eat, all of a sudden you train heavier and harder, and your body loves it. And I think she's figuring that out as a pro 6 years in, you know, of being a pro. So you're always learning. And she's seeing this, and she's like, yeah. So now when she goes for the prep stage with her coach, she's going to say, this is what I did differently this off-season. I felt fantastic and so much bigger. And can we do these things, you know? So there's that now where it was coach and athlete. Now it's like coach and athlete that can communicate back and forth to a big, you know, to win this Olympia.
And that relationship takes time. but the payoff
Yeah.
is incredible, you know. And as long as the coach trusts you and you trust the coach,
You got to have trust both
right?
ways.
So
There might be a little bit of this toward the end. I freaking hate that guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because he's making me do that. But you know what? When you step on stage and you win, it's worth everything. And she understands that. She might have a word every now and again. You know, toward the very end.
Olympia trophy.
Ooh,
It'll
yeah.
be worth it.
Yeah, when
Right.
you're cashing checks, that's what it's about.
Basically, right? Yeah. No, that mindset of being able to kind of hand it over, but not fully, I think is important. I do think too many people just, and then when they don't win, oh, well, it's my coach's fault. Was it your coach's fault, or is it because you skipped 14 workouts in that 3-week period?
Or did you do everything he said, and you just need more time? You need to go through that cycle again, learn a little bit more. You need to go through another training cycle and learn a little bit more. You need to diet down again.
Yeah.
You need to put more weight on. You need to lift a little heavier.
A coach can shave time off of that overall journey, right? But they're not gonna.
From the guesswork.
It's not a teleportation, guys.
Yeah.
You know, you're not getting to the end. You know.
There's no magic ball that
Right.
takes you right there except hard work.
Yeah.
Guidance and hard work, you know.
Yep.
But kind of going back to where you're talking about your childhood, you know, one thing that I was kind of getting out of you that I forgot to mention on my end was, you know, why did I get into lifting? Was it just for the work part of it? That was one big thing.
Yeah.
But I was a small dude.
Mm-hmm.
I was a pit bull. I'm aggressive. You know, I would fight back. I wouldn't give in to bullies and shit like that when I was younger. I got a little story. You know, I was homeschooled most of my life. I went to college last 2 years, junior and senior. I went to college, tested into college. I just did a, you know, community college for the last 2 years. But when I was a freshman, I went to a private school, private high school. And, you know, all the seniors, they do the senior thing, you know, just the normal high school bullshit. Tried to shove me in a garbage can. Five kids, 5 seniors, they couldn't get me in it. Well, when I came back for, you know, because I went on to college and I came back to one of the graduations, because I had buddies there that graduated, and they all looked at me, and I was 40 pounds bigger, and I had just won national. I was jacked out of my gourd. They're like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" I'm like, "You never fucking talk to me. I don't want to talk to you," you know. So I think part of that was there, but once I had got into the bodybuilding, I no longer had a complex.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the guy in the gym lifting with my shirt off, always checking my abs. I was the guy doing it because I loved it, and it was actually intimidating to get on stage wearing your little banana hammock in front of 200 people or 2,000 people at that time, you know. But you just you work through it. You know, like here is where I am now. It built my confidence. I don't, you know, and I don't have that problem anymore. Did you have any of that growing up?
Not necessarily.
But were you 5'2" and 120 pounds at 14?
Not quite. No, I graduated I think I was 5'7", 175 when I graduated. You know, so and it wasn't good weight. You know, I was a lineman, so you know it wasn't good weight. There was some strength there, you know, but no, not necessarily that aspect of it. I don't think. I think had I have started earlier, I would have been in less trouble.
So it kind of kept you.
It would have kept me out of trouble because once I started lifting, you know, I had an outlet for that aggression and everything. I was a very angry child. You know, I was a very angry child. So
you kind of see the benefit maybe when you're coaching young kids, you see the benefit of a program for a high school kid.
Oh, absolutely.
Or just any kid, girl or dude, female or male.
Absolutely.
They all could benefit from this.
Yeah.
Just if it keeps your mind clear, keeps you out of trouble a little bit. You know, some of us are a little more mischievous than others.
Yeah, it gives you an outlet for whatever emotions you have. You know, I see all the time on, you know, social media and stuff this, you know, oh, big weights make sad voice go away type thing. Yeah. You know, we joke about it, but it does.
I still use it today. Do you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there are days where I'm like, come in here, I feel 100 times better. You know, I feel like $1 million walking out of here.
Yep.
Might be sore as hell, might be limping, but you know what? Emotionally and in the mental side of things, I'm cool.
It allows some clarity, right? And it gives you time, whether it's, you know, even if you have a training partner, you know, sometimes that it is a therapy session. You know?
For sure.
So, if people used it more, you know, because I do think even though the fitness community is growing, there's still a lot of people that need to get in the
general public needs
for
to
health,
yeah.
for mental health, right? So physical and the mental aspect of it.
Especially nowadays, the mental health part of it's so big.
Well, I think we could cut down on a lot of the stigmas and the diagnoses that they put out there,
And maybe
with
medication.
with more physical activity. It doesn't have to be weight training. It just that's our driving force, right? Bigger, faster, stronger.
That's our force is a strength training.
Yeah,
but
maybe it's yoga.
Maybe it's a run.
Yeah, maybe
it's hiking.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
We live in a great area for the outdoors.
Yeah, that I don't take advantage of enough.
Well,
it's too hot.
Pretty pale. You burn pretty good. That's why we actually had to postpone this podcast because you were like a scaly, flaking lizard.
Yeah, that South Texas heat really. That sun hits different down there.
Well, it was windy as hell too, right?
That
so wind burn
wind burn, and then it was sunburn. Yeah, I'm still peeling, but no, I look like a leopard coming in here. It's like maybe
we'll just put a hat on, put some lotion on, kind of blend it together. A little sandpaper.
Yeah, yeah. It just cleared up this week, but and then so even though we live in this beautiful outdoor area, that's not always feasible.
Mm-hmm.
But what is feasible is the AC of a gym.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, again, if it's...
Or your house, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anywhere. You have it right in front of you. It's your body moving, you know. We don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It is fun to get out of your little box to somewhere else for an outlet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I totally can have a gym at my house. I will at some point.
Yeah.
It's not a priority. I have these ones. I like training around people. I like getting out of my house and driving the 10 minutes to the gym,
And
it's therapy, it's clearing the head. It's moving you in the right direction,
For me, in the gym or in the house, I can't have a gym at the house. It's going to collect dust. I already know it is. I don't have that motivation and that switch to be able to say, okay, now it's gym time at home, because I'm going to stop and I'm going to get a snack or do laundry.
That's not hung on the wall over there, and all of a
man.
sudden you get your drill out and 30 minutes have gone by.
Yeah, so for me it's like a detachment, right, from the normal life to drive to the gym, walk in the door, and then it's a different environment, and I'm able to kind of detach from whatever my day was. It could have been a great day.
Yeah.
Even on the great days, I think coming into the gym, it's going to make it better.
It's part of your routine.
Or if it's a terrible day in the gym and you fail every lift, well, at least you had a good day otherwise, but yeah, absolutely. I think that mental and physical improvement, we'll call it, is underlooked by most of the public.
I think there's very few individuals there's a small percentage. I think 90 to 95% of people need to get out of their house and go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But there is the time of year when I'm 4 weeks out from a show where if I had my own gym and I could bring my one or two buddies over, if I brought buddies over, 2 buddies to train with, we could go ham at my own place. Yeah. I could go ham with Melissa. But the last 4 weeks, especially as a bodybuilder, because you're low on the food, your energy's kind of shot, I own the gym, so people are always asking me questions, and just to get that little bit of quiet time. Now, most people are pretty good at our gym. Hey, when he's got his headphones on, he's not training clients. He's training himself, leave him alone. But you still get the new walk-ins and stuff like that. So I could see it beneficial for 4 weeks. So at some point I will, but I think in general, get out of your house.
Yeah.
Drive away from that. Whether you had a good day or not, whether you're running away from something, which you shouldn't use that as necessarily something to the gym for, but as a quick Band-Aid until you resolve the matters, it's a great outlet so you don't do something stupid.
Yep.
I've replaced it. I've replaced drinking as I was a contractor, when I was in my late 20s, with the gym. That's a healthy trade. That's a healthy addiction to swap, right?
Yep.
Is training an addiction? I think we can call it that. But is it a healthy one that only benefits other parts of your life? I think we can call it that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good trade, for an addictive personality, which tends to be a lot of us in a competitive nature, whatever sport it is.
It's a pretty interesting phenomenon there too. the addictiveness of competitors.
And it's that natural endorphin release that you get. that's what we're chasing.
Oh yeah.
You know, that adrenaline, that surge to get that massive lift, the fatigue and feeling the soreness after. It all becomes something you crave in a sick way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, there's days I come into the gym and I just want to be sore and not able to walk right tomorrow. Let's just do like a high volume leg day or whatever it is. But going back to you don't have to have a gym or anything like that. It reminded me. Remember when Pokemon Go came out?
Barely. That was pretty deep into my work at that point in my life.
I just, I hate the fact that, even in that aspect.
Like 2007, I don't remember.
I don't think it was quite that long ago. I think it was just before.
You gotta remember, I was married in 2004 and working pretty hard. So
I think
my kids were into it. Maybe
I think it was right before the old Corona happened. I think.
Okay.
Maybe a year or two before that. But I just saw someone doing it the other day. They were at the park. My youngest was playing softball, and they were out there still playing. You look at them, and they probably wouldn't have left the house if it wasn't for that game. So even though I'm not a video gamer by any means, and I kind of hate all technology, mostly because I don't know how to work it.
That's my thing too. What I had to take is like 15 minutes to figure out how this thing works, and we've already done it once.
Yeah, by the end of it all, we'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Well, let's just get it
The
dialed
red
right
light,
now.
all we need is the red light, And, but yeah, just to have an app, if that's what it takes to get them out, just get out, find something that makes you happy outside of normal day-to-day life, People, it's a distraction, not a distraction. I don't want to call it a distraction, but
it's a break.
A break from work, from
monotony.
Right? So
especially with the technology these days and the kids being glued to a device. I mean, now everybody's looking like this all the time. Right? They can't even lift their head up. And you talk to them, and they don't even acknowledge that you're there. They're so super hyper focused. Now, hyper focus is good for certain things.
Yeah, we're working on calculus homework.
There you go.
Yeah.
But it's not Pokemon, so.
Yeah. No, so it's it goes two ways, right? Like that addictive personality, you want that to happen, but then you don't want it in certain aspects. So
curving that personality when you see it as a youngster or in young guys, as a parent or a guardian or an uncle or a good friend, to kind of curve them in this direction where there's a good community of people that are thinking a certain way, that have had ADHD or depression and anxiety and issues with their complex, and let's get them in this environment. Let's start training, and all that stuff just all of a sudden starts to just dissipate.
Yeah.
And they become themselves. They figure out who they are, and then whether they love to lift or not, they'll at least find some sort of peace with their own being.
Yeah, absolutely. That inner building of their personality as well. The confidence that comes from and I see it in the young folks that come into the gym. You can see their confidence build. They come in and they're benching maybe a bar, and then after a couple weeks or a month, they've got a 10 or a 25 on there. They have a different swagger to them. And sometimes it goes too far, and that swagger becomes douchery. And we try to reel that back, but that's when you have Melissa bench 315 next to them, and they go like, dang.
And next time they're a little bit quieter and work a little bit harder.
You gotta build that humility into them. So, but no, it's a confidence builder, and that's gonna go, okay, well, why can't I be that CEO, and there's no no's anymore,
Why am I not gonna finish college?
Yeah.
Just because X, Y, and Z happen.
Yep.
No, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and we're gonna do college.
Yep.
And we're just gonna make it happen.
Yep.
And, I mean, I'm talking about kids that I have in here that are doing that right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, kids that come in and they're timid and shy, and then all of a sudden they start gaining the weight they were supposed to gain and lifting the weights they were supposed to lift, because that whole demeanor has moved in that direction where they're owning every move in their life, mentally as well as physically. Because until the mental game is there, you can go through the motions and not move an inch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you gotta add. You gotta be at one with both.
Yep.
Well, sweet dude, that was a good amount of stuff. We learned a little bit about you.
Yeah,
I'm sure we can pull more out of you at some point, but
probably.
man, I skipped. I
I'm
went
an
from
open book.
18 to okay now. So we got about 20 years. We
Yeah.
can still reel
I'm an
back
open
on.
book. Man. I'm an open book. We just put little tab marks on it, you know.
Right on. Well, it's a good one. We'll see you next week.
Let's do it.
All right.
We'll be back from California.
Yeah.
Hopefully not sunburned. Whew. She's packing 2 bottles of sunscreen.